Good morning, members and visitors. It's my very great pleasure to introduce this morning's speaker, Ian Barclay, who will be talking to us about the Castelet family and the ice caves of the Pyrenees. I don't know if Ian would want me to mention this or not, but his fee for this talk is actually going to the NSPCC, which I think is very commendable. Ian...
Same to the end.
Ian was born in Salford, and he's worked in industry, and then for a time he taught at the John Moores University in Liverpool. His interest in this subject goes back to 1965, when he was part of a British expedition who went to see these ice caves. It promises to be a most interesting talk. Please give a warm welcome to Ian Barclay.
Thank you. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Yep, that's fine, thanks. We need to leave these lights on, please. That's fine, thanks. I'm being videoed for no, the lights at the back can go off, just these at the front can stay on. Ben's videoing me just for training purposes, so you won't receive any ransom notes or blackmail letters or anything like that. What you'll find on the screen, because of the way it's set up, there's a slight distortion, simply because of the having to angle it up there. I'm being ably assisted by my lovely assistant Malcolm, so if anything does go wrong, I take the full responsibility, but he gets all the blame. Right, one of the things I found out when I give these talks is that when it gets to the end and people start asking questions, after about 3 or 4 questions, you can see everybody edging to get to the cup of tea, and they just want to get away and get to tea. So I'm quite happy to keep this interactive, and if you've got any questions, you can just shout them out as we go along. Now, I know this can be a little bit daunting, so could I just do a straw poll? How many people have never put their hands up before? Oh, everybody, so that's really good. That's excellent, fine, thanks. When I was, as I say, I was there in 1965, when I was, well, I was 6 then, I think I was, yeah. No, I think I was 22. I put this together and I just got thinking back about how I got interested in caving, because for 20 years of my life, I probably spent more time underground than I did above it. And I can trace it back to being on the moors and sat down when I was 14 years old. And I had a flask and sandwiches, I'd done some walking. And I just sat down looking at the view, and suddenly I heard this little voice saying, "Excuse me, excuse me." And I looked round, couldn't see anybody. "Excuse me." And I looked down, and there was a man there, and he was about that big. Suit, bowler hat, rolled umbrella, briefcase and a clipboard. And I said, "Hello," and he said, "Would you mind helping me?" I said, "Sure, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Just hold the end of this tape measure. I'm going down that rabbit hole." He said, "I'm going to measure it." So he goes down. I'm there for about 5 minutes. He came back out and he made some notes. He said, "Could you go on to the next one?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I'm not doing anything." And off he went down. He came back out and I said, "Is it interesting down there?" He said, "Absolutely fascinating." He said, "You never know what you're going to find." He said, "Some of them just go down in a dead end." He said, "Some you get tunnels going off in different directions." He said, "And some of them even go right through and out the other side." So I did a few more with him, and he packed up. He said, "Thanks very much for your help." He said, "I've got to get back to the office now." And I said, "Well, where's the office?" He said, "Oh, the local council." I said, "What do you do?" "Oh," he said, "It's office, isn't it?" So I'm the borough surveyor. I think that was Ken Dodd about 1963. Right. Okay, what we're going to talk about is, first of all, a quite remarkable man, supreme athlete, author, debonair, handsome, charismatic. Well, enough about me, so let's talk about this gentleman. Please, Malcolm, next one. Okay, this is Norbert Castelet. French, born in the Pyrenees. I guess possibly even he would be classed as a Basque these days. He started caving in about 1917 and has got lots and lots of records and first descents to his name. He was almost professional. He claimed that he was never more than amateur. He wrote about 40 books. He published about 200 papers on caving. Part of it was sort of academic and scientific, but part of it was promotional and bringing money in so that he could carry on caving. Now, he discovered the caves in 1927, which we'll go on to. What I want to talk about is one remarkable thing about it. Now, how many people understand what a sump is in a cave? Okay, yeah. You do understand it. You're not going to tell me what it is, but you understand it. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please, Malcolm. This is a sump in a cave. It's where the roof of the cave comes down, it fills with water, and to get through it, you take a breath and dive through. Now, what's the next question that you ask? Yeah, who attached the rope at the other end? Yeah. Well, what you do is you just take a deep breath and you go through. Yes, please, Malcolm. And this is a guy coming out of a sump. So clearly he's come from the other side, hopefully. He's not lost his way and come back, which is France. And as it pushed, it deformed the Pyrenees. Now, the Pyrenees are actually older than the Alps, which is one of the reasons why they're not quite as high, because being limestone, they've been worn down. So that's a geological theory. Anybody been to Athens recently? Oh, if you go to the Acropolis, it's being excavated and such like, and they've excavated some tablets which we're going to look at, which tell a different story. And next slide, please. So this is the first tablet that they excavated, and this is Hercules. And on his 10th labour, when he was trying to steal the cattle of Geryon, he met King Beatrix and met his daughter, whose daughter's name was Pyrene. Yeah. And they fell in love. Beatrix wanted to get them married, but as all self-willed individuals did, they didn't, and she became pregnant, and she bore him a serpent, and that was the punishment for not being married. Next slide, please. She ran off out of shame and was killed by a bear. It's not true. Don't get too upset about it. It is only mythology. Yeah. So, in his grief, what Hercules did, being a big, strong lad, next slide, please, he collected all the stones from the plain of Toulouse and he built Pyrene a tomb. Next slide, please. So, which became the Pyrenees. So even in those days, an unmarried mother always got priority of housing, you see. And it is said, and I'll vouch for this, that you can still hear Pyrene calling for a lost love, especially in the night. Next slide, please, Malcolm. So the mountains were named after Pyrene. Right. So that's the alternative version. You can take whichever version you want away with you.